Why buy tires now? That's easy, because you'll save big right now at Big O Tires. Save $100 on a set of Big O brand tires with paid installation, but only for a limited time. And when you purchase using your Big O credit card, save an additional $50 for a total savings of $150. We told you this was big. Only at Big O Tires, the team you trust. Hurry, offer ends August 25th. For your nearest participating location, go to bigotires.com.
SportsBeat KC, the sports podcast of the Kansas City Star, is live today, Tuesday, August 20th. That is, we're Facebook Live and on location. Chiefs beat writer Brooke Pryor, columnist Sam Mellinger and Vahe Gregorian, and me, Blair Kerkhoff, gathered at Big O Tires at 8400 Neiman Road in Lenexa to talk all things Chiefs, and even report on the Chiefs' latest edition about halfway through the show. Thanks to producers Kathy Liu and Leah Becerra for putting this episode together, and thanks to our sponsor Big O Tires for being a great host. Links to Chiefs coverage can be found in the show notes on kansascity.com, facebook.com/RedZoneExtra, and the Red Zone Extra app. We appreciate you listening, and we'll be back Wednesday with another edition of SportsBeat KC to talk sports in Kansas City.
Hey everybody, we are live-ish from Big O Tires in Lenexa this morning. I'm Kansas City Star Chiefs beat writer Brooke Pryor. I know we were just with you guys not too many days ago from Pittsburgh, but now we're back in Kansas City. We're going to wrap up what little we can still say about that game because that was brutal and really I think be better off for everyone if we forgot it. And we'll look forward to the next preseason game against the 49ers on Saturday. But first, some introductions. Got Blair Kerkhoff to my left, Vahe Gregorian to my right, and also to my right, we have Sam Mellinger. This is on, when you're watching this, it'll be on Facebook Live, but we will not actually be live. We're recording this morning. So when you ask your questions, we won't be able to address them on the broadcast, but we will answer them, whether it's in the comments later, or we'll get to them Saturday after that game, when I'm sure you'll have even more questions. So get excited for that. Guys, the first thing let's talk about, Marcus Kemp's injury was made official this morning, I believe, when he was put on IR. We found out yesterday it was an ACL and an MCL tear. Where does that leave the wide receiver position? And does it affect the wide receiver position more, or does it affect what his role was on special teams more?
It's a bummer. Like the first reaction is just, that sucks. Like, I mean, he was progressing, and I think he was in position this season to have the season that has been possible the last 2 years, if that makes any sense. I think he was going to make the 53. I think that was, if not a certainty, close to it. He's a terrific special teams player. I don't think it hurts them. You know, the wide receiver is still a position of strength for them. But one change that it does make, I think, is that when we talk about a potential trade, and with Brett Veach as the GM, you always need to be talking about potential trades. That was a position group where maybe it made sense to deal. Maybe it's Marcus Kemp or Demarcus Robinson, somebody from that group, and now that makes less sense. You're not as deep as you were. You don't have, sort of the reservoir to do that. That's the biggest change to me.
You know what? You mentioned it's a bummer. That reminded me. Marcus Kemp posted, it was either on Instagram or Twitter, maybe both, yesterday, and it was a picture of him going up to catch a ball, and the caption was, "What goes up?"
Yeah.
And man, if that doesn't just make you feel awful. Yeah. I mean, he was having the best camp, I think, of any down the depth chart receiver when you look at, Byron Pringle, Garrett Dieter, who we haven't seen, who will probably join him on IR. I mean, that just stinks. Vahe, what are your thoughts?
Same thought, really. I mean, it does. Trader Brett will be affected a little by this, I think, right? You trade from positions of strength, especially when right now what they're doing is they're thinking about depth. They don't have to really think about the cream of the crop. I mean, Marcus Kemp, if things stay as they were, would be the guy getting the fifth or sixth most receptions. So sort of supplemental that way. But they'll be hurt a little bit on special teams with that. And I seem to remember how hard he worked at that. I mean, didn't he have 3 or 4 these great plays at the goal line last
Down
season alone? On punts. And so that's not just an automatic, but I also think there'll be guys to replace that.
It's going to be interesting because he was. Every guy on an NFL team is hardworking, but the thing that sticks out to me about Marcus Kemp is that he was always the first guy on the field. Every single game, preseason game, doesn't matter. He's the first one on the field, and he's working on downing punts, he's catching passes. And I thought that was always a really unique and endearing quality about him. And that's why I think Eric Bieniemy said everyone should want to be like Marcus Kemp. Every receiver should aspire to do that. Blair, with Kemp's injury, how does that end of the depth chart look now with the wide receivers? Who steps up and takes one of those spots?
Cody Thompson is the first name that comes to mind, the undrafted free agent from Toledo who had a great college career. I think it was among he and Byron Pringle and Marcus Kemp and Gary Dieter when he was healthy. Those are the four we talked about for the final two spots. And I think Cody Thompson, who led the Chiefs in receptions on Saturday in a game that we were all sort of forcing ourselves to pay attention to in the second half.
Some more successful than others.
Yes, he had a pretty good game. So, and you're right about Marcus Kemp. I know that when you and I are in the press box early, we end up telling Sam and Vahe that Marcus Kemp is the first one.
Are you trying to say that they're not there when we're there?
On the first one on the field.
Parking's difficult. They're definitely in the parking lot the whole time.
Let's just get this out there. There's a big difference between procrastinating and taking all the time you have.
There you go.
You know what? I've read that procrastinators are often the most optimistic people because they think they can do more with the time that they have. And you're an optimist, so...
Delusional, I think was a word we used.
That was not my phrase.
So they've already addressed. They signed Jalen Tolliver this morning. So just a depth guy. They lose Marcus Kemp and sign Tolliver. So listen, we're spending a lot of time on a player in Marcus Kemp who we all agree is a special teams star, who has one career NFL reception. Yeah. And it was last year. But they did think enough of him. He was on the 53-man for both playoff games as well. Mm-hmm. So he got better as the year progressed. And again, he probably came farthest from point A to point B than any player in the preseason.
Yeah, absolutely. And speaking of moves, you mentioned they signed Tolliver. We have an old friend alert. Guard Jeff Allen was signed today. That became official. Found out yesterday. This is his third stint with the Chiefs, and in corresponding move, they released Abdul Beachum. Can't say that I noticed him at all during camp. It's there's so many other things going on. Depth on the offensive line, usually the last thing you check off. What does it say that the Chiefs went out and re-signed Jeff Allen? He's been a free agent since last season. What does that mean?
I would just throw out. I mean, he's really smart. He's good in the room, as they like to say. I think well respected. Has known a lot of these guys. In fact, one of the stories I think you're working on is that it was only 4 guys left from the Andy Reid's first game. Well, now it's 5, right? Mm-hmm. Didn't Jeff start that game? Yeah. And I do remember that he had a businessman's mind really early. He started selling candy when he was in high school to various outlets, and I'm probably kind of botching that, but it'll make you look it up, I hope, because it's something I wrote.
Already doing it.
Thanks. Let's see how far off it was.
Let's check the internet.
But look, it's good, but he's not going to be getting a lot of time unless there's a couple of injuries, right? I mean,
he's a really good depth guy because he can play multiple positions, and he's a character guy,
and he's a good locker room guy.
Yeah. So that's the profile.
But I'm wondering what was the comment in signing him? It wasn't like they got rid of Beachum, who's a K-Stater, by the way, and they didn't bring in somebody similar with an undrafted free agent. They brought in a guy with Chiefs experience and 8 or 9 years in the NFL. After he was a second-round draft pick of the Chiefs in 2012, and then he was with the Texans for a while, and now this is his third stint overall with the Chiefs, second in the last 2 years. So what's the comment here? What they must have seen something in these 2 preseason games that they didn't like.
Well, was it Allegretti that botched the snap in the second quarter?
The one that was fumbled?
Yes.
I think it was.
Was it a low snap?
Henny's fumble, wasn't it?
Henny was.
It was a low snap, not a great snap, but I think Henny got it and then fumbled it. I mean, it started off from the low snap. So that would have been the
second quarter.
But it would have been second quarter, yeah.
But does it say that either they don't think Allegretti is advancing at the rate that they want him to? Does it say something about Ryan Hunter? Or does it say that they don't feel like Cam Irving is going to be the guy that they wanted him to be last year, that they needed to bring in another versatile guy like Jeff Allen?
I wonder, this is speculation, I want to be clear about that, but Tim Grunhard made this point on Twitter the other night. I don't know if you guys saw this, that he was saying that maybe the reason that they pulled Patrick Mahomes from the game so early is that Pittsburgh was showing a lot of blitzes that they just weren't prepared for, and getting into the backfield in a way that made Andy a little bit concerned.
Which is fair.
I wonder, and some of that, right, is the Chiefs are running a 4-3. Obviously, Pittsburgh's doing a 3-4. It's a different look than what that group has seen so far in practice.
Camp, right.
You don't really game plan. So some of that, there's some disclaimers. But I just wonder, it makes sense to me that Tim Gardner knows a hell of a lot more about offensive line play than I do. So taking that at his word, it would make sense if you're worried about the communication and the reads of the blitz, where the blitzes are coming from, to sign a guy that's been there, that's done it, that's seen it all, that can not only give you, some sort of, some sense of comfort, but maybe pass that along to the guys that are a little bit higher on the depth chart. That would make a lot of sense to me.
That makes sense. I also, in Saturday's game, Cam Irving missed a block, and that led to a sack. So I wonder if there's just some scrutiny on Cam Irving right now. Keep this in mind. When Jeff Allen was with the Chiefs last year, Irving started 13 games at left guard, and then he got hurt, and Allen was signed, and Allen started a couple games, and then in the final game of the season, both were ready to go, and Allen was the guy who got the starting nod in that game over Irving. Now Irving started the playoff games, but they thought well enough of Jeff Allen then to start him over a healthy Cam Irving in week 17 against the Raiders.
Absolutely. Well, with Jeff Allen coming back, is there another Chief from last year's team that you think would be beneficial for, particularly if there's a free agent? I can't remember who's a free agent who's been signed by now, but if you could pick somebody else from last year's team to bring them back this year, who would you pick?
Remember, there was a lot of that last year. Remember, they brought Charkandrick West
Frank
back.
Zombo came back. Frank Zombo, who was at camp
and Parker
this year.
was a bring back too, wasn't he? Was it
Yeah,
Ron Parker?
Ron Parker.
Yeah.
So they always tend to bring back guys who know the room, right?
Know
Who
them, trust them.
know the play.
Right.
Yeah, trust them. They know the playbook. Yeah, Parker had been with the Falcons for just a few weeks, right? A few preseason games, and didn't have a good season, and was part of the problem back there for the Chiefs. So yeah, that's when you're looking for players that the Chiefs may want to re-sign or plug a gap. Look for ex-Chiefs. Look for guys who I have to think about.
I was going to say, this feels like a long way of delaying your answer.
That's right.
Blair.
Filibustering here.
I was going to say.
So, but
it's like you're trying to fill up a word count or something.
They're not going to bring in motivational coach Eric Berry.
I was just thinking that. Can you imagine what the response would be if they go through all of that emotional goodbye last year and then, now he's back?
I don't think it'll happen. I think you know
doubt
best.
it. I'd be surprised, not shocked.
He is a free agent still.
You'd be surprised, not shocked, though.
Yeah.
That's interesting. That.
But don't you think there's a small list of NFL teams where ex-Chiefs now gravitate toward? The Browns, the Colts, and the Bears.
How about that? Josh Caldwell signed with the Bears a couple days ago.
That's right. So, and I guess that we can include the Eagles in that too if we want, with Doug Peterson there. But
all different forms of the Andy tree.
Yes,
somehow,
exactly.
Right?
With Dorsey and Ballard in Cleveland and Indianapolis, and then the two head coaches at Chicago and Philly.
It is very much kind of an old boys network. After you get off the stars that can play anywhere, that middle and lower class of player, it is. Who do I know?
Right.
Yeah,
that's where I'm going.
Spencer
Ware got a shot,
and then it makes sense.
So do you guys have an answer for who you would want to bring back,
I got nothing beyond that idea about.
Man, I felt really good about this question.
About Eric Berry.
I felt like this was really going to generate some conversation.
Yeah, you need to close on it. You brought the question. What do you got?
No, that's right. I'm the closer, so you guys all go, and then I end.
I thought Eric Berry was a pretty good.
That's a good answer.
That was good. That was good.
Sam?
I'll go with Eric Berry. Sure.
Just feels like the easy way out here.
No, Eric Berry's my answer.
You know what? Maybe I should also go with Eric Berry. I don't know. Steven Nelson. No, I'm just kidding. Maybe not, though. The corners are struggling a little bit.
He started for the Steelers on Saturday and got, along with the others, Steelers didn't start Ben Roethlisberger, but they did start everybody else on both sides of the ball. And Nelson, there was all this speculation about, what kind of, how he would be received by Chiefs, but nothing happened. I don't know if he made a tackle or he was nondescript in his time on the field.
He didn't make
Which
a tackle.
was short.
I'm shocked.
Yeah, and he was nondescript with his time with the Chiefs as well. But,
It was a little bit longer than his time on the field this weekend.
That breakup needed to happen, by the way, like for both sides.
Oh, yeah.
Steve Nelson and Chiefs, but he would make them better. He would make that cornerback group better.
Are you trying to take my answer now too? Sam?
Is that your answer?
Yeah.
Okay, go ahead. I'm making your argument for you.
No,
then.
keep going.
You're
Keep
welcome.
going. I didn't really have
feel like
anything
that?
else to say after that.
I do. I think he, as much as anyone, was sort of exposed by the scheme and the lack of coverage by the safeties, as much as anyone. He was left on a Nelson Island quite a bit, and a lot of the catches, he had some Charvarius Ward in him where he had good coverage and they made the catch anyway. I'm thinking, but there were plays, multiple plays that I can see right now in my head where a safety's got to get there, and a safety should have been there. But it's Ron Parker and he's limited physically. He's not fast enough to get there. The scheme is confusing for everybody. In a better scheme, I think Steven Nelson, not a star, but an above-average NFL cornerback.
And I think he'd be good, too, opposite Bashaud Breeland rather than opposite Orlando Scandrick. I just think that having a better corner on the other side would make him better. And I'd like to see how he would fit into Spagnuolo's scheme.
I'm rolling with Charvarius Ward here. You keep Steven Nelson. Keep him. I just remember the regular season game in Pittsburgh last year, second week of the season. Chiefs go up 21-0 in the first quarter. It's just mind-boggling what's going on in that game. And then they had the safety. Was it Chris Jones that got Roethlisberger in the end zone?
I think so.
And
picturing the celebration indicating it was him.
Or no, it was a fumble recovery. It would have been 28-0 early in the second quarter.
Yes.
Except Steven Nelson called for pass interference on the play, wiped it out.
That's right.
Steelers go down and score, and the next thing you know, it's 21-all at halftime.
And that's when the Steelers knew they'd found their man for the next year. They said, this is a guy we want on our team. He's already helping us out.
That's right. That's exactly right.
My takeaway from these last comments, I feel like I need to bring this up. Sam saying he can see multiple plays in his head. It's sort of Mahomes-like.
Oh, don't go there.
You got a little photographic memory we don't know about?
No, it's an endemic. What was the term?
Oh, the geospatial magic box? No.
You were saying it's not a photographic memory, it's like an
there's a word that, Blair, you can look that up when you look up the Jeff Allen candy thing.
I'm still on movies of the 80s.
There's but there is a word that's like what you're saying that stands for photographic memory, but it's not quite the same.
Yeah.
But the real question is, do you have it?
No. I can promise you that. And the lost keys that I have at my house would attest to that as well.
Yeah, we've all been there.
If I had a photographic memory,
Eidetic?
Eidetic.
Look at that. It's right there.
Thank
We
you.
got an assist from Beth.
I can't see that. But
Well,
eidetic.
we can't help. I don't have any glasses for you.
Okay.
I'm sorry. So with that, let's start looking toward next week's game, or the game that's going to happen in actually not that many days. 4 days. Is that right? Yeah. It's happening soon. We'll be there on Saturday. The Chiefs play the 49ers at Arrowhead. And to segue into that, let's look at When the Rubber Meets the Road, brought to you by Big O Tires. The question is, who does this game matter to most? We've seen the last couple weeks, there have been some standout players. We've seen McCole Hardman and Darwin Thompson really make a name for themselves. Who does this game matter to most? Is it the fans? Is there a specific player?
Well,
Really?
we've gone into each of the first two preseason games talking about position battles and where we think they are, and sadly enough, two of those position battles have kind of been settled because of injuries that happened in Pittsburgh. The wide receiver with Marcus Kemp going down for the season, and tight end with Deion Yelder having the ankle injury. At least I don't think we have a timetable for his return.
No.
But it's bad enough. He was in a walking boot after the game.
And
we
crutches.
Saw him in crutches after in the locker room. We saw him. That it's going to be long enough that Blake Bell's going to end up being the number 2 tight end. So.
And then who's the 3?
Well, I don't.
Because Lovett's in a sling on his shoulder.
Kaiser,
Yelder's in a boot.
Is it
Step right up Nick Kaiser, I guess.
Kaiser perhaps, who's had some nice moments in the preseason, but that's something to pay attention to now. You mentioned the fans. I'm very curious to see what the reaction would be if the starters played as little as they have played in each of the first 2 games. So 1 series in the opener, 2 series in the second game.
I mean, there would be a riot in the press box, so I can only imagine what it would be like in the stands.
Well, and Andy Reid's philosophy has always been to play the starters through at least through the first half.
Give him like a series
than,
he likes the idea of them coming out of going into the locker room preparing to play. again. So he's typically been a series in the second half. Now, he is vastly overstated in each of the first 2 games. He's vastly overstated how long those guys are going to play. But at least in my memory, what they did in week one, preseason game 1, is similar, if not identical, to what they've done in years past. What they did in the second preseason game is similar, if not identical, to what they've done in years past. He seemed to overstate it this year in a way that he didn't in the past. But I think the third preseason game, he has done that. He has let guys play into the second half. Now, that is very different than the trend, across the league, where a lot of guys just don't even suit up, especially quarterbacks.
Time out. We've got some news. As we're doing this, the Chiefs are practicing, and I kid you not, DeAnthony Thomas just signed with the Chiefs and arrived in the middle of practice.
DeAnthony Thomas would be my answer to the question that they
Like, that's a real thing. That just happened. Davon Grayson has been waived. So anybody else want to revise their answer for depth down the chart? Well, he was a good special teams guy.
He was a good. Yeah, and look, he's been with the Chiefs for quite a long time, 4 or 5 years, right?
Yeah, broke his leg in was it the playoff game or Denver game 2 years ago? Denver game, and then re-injured it last year. Also had an arrest for marijuana in the offseason, was pulled over, but it would appear that's been resolved.
But doesn't that just feed the narrative of Chiefs?
It really, I mean, we couldn't have timed that better, and I'm going to learn to take my phone off Do Not Disturb while we do these things. Good thing I checked.
But it makes your question seem quite alert, doesn't it?
Maybe I knew.
It's good. The Chiefs had a desperate need for a short, really fast,
undersized speed guys.
Yeah, no, there's definitely not enough speed happening.
So that's good to see.
Can't have enough of that.
No.
Where I just saw someone else's tweet who's there said, DeAnthony Thomas just showed up at practice. He just returned to kickoff to the celebration of his teammates. So he I guess what else has he been doing? I
guess he's in shape.
I guess
Staying in
so.
shape.
That's one way to make a statement.
Not signing with someone else. Being
How
ready
about that?
to be a Chief.
They've had a door. I mean, I think that speaks in some ways to, I'm trying not to use the word culture, but to what the Chiefs have built here, that these guys do sign back.
And want to be back here, right?
I mean, I think like Sharkandrick West, it seemed like he was just waiting. He was just on his couch, like not literally on his, I'm sure he was staying in shape, but like staying at home, waiting for the Chiefs to have a need so he could sign back last year. I mean, it's a positive. And look, for people like that have been around the team that remember, 2012 and before, like this doesn't always happen. There's some guys that can't wait to get out, or some teams where guys can't wait to get out. And this is a very different thing than it used to be.
So you wonder what the conversation's like with Brett Veach after when they waive somebody. It's like, just hang tight. Hang
Don't
tight.
change your number.
That's right. Don't.
I mean, what's the conversation like with poor Davon Grayson? Did they literally pull him off the field and say, see you later, and call DeAnthony Thomas, who was sitting in the parking lot, switch jerseys and run out on the field? How did that? Byron Pringle's 13 now, so what number is DeAnthony Thomas going to get?
I don't know if there'll be some ritualistic exchange of jersey numbers. I don't know. These things happen, right? You pay somebody for the jersey, and
Does DeAnthony Thomas have money to pay Byron Pringle for a jersey?
He'll take what they give him.
I was going to say he may have money, he doesn't have stature, but getting his old.
Well, I guess that's sort of the
True.
problem with that, right? Although 13, you can see why it's a coveted number. Do you know there's a word for fear of the number 13, by the way? Yeah.
Do you know what it is?
Yes,
or are we
it's triskaidekaphobia.
Start with a T.
So you knew that, but not eidetic?
Right.
Okay.
Correct. I gotta flash what I got. When I have it.
Just flex your knowledge. Go ahead.
Can we talk about something else I know? Oh, no.
What do you know about D Ford? Let's chat about him for a minute because he will be back here on Saturday. We don't know if he's going to play. He's had knee tendonitis for a bit.
If you don't mind going back to one thing that we never got to conclude. Pardon?
No, what? Where the rubber meets the road. Answer your question.
Yeah, I want to go back to where the rubber meets the road because that's our thing. I do want to see the defense have more time out there. I mean, offense can use some time for timing, but I do think this whole communication thing with defense and some sense of flow in real games and real tackling, all that, I think that's pretty actually imperative in this game for them. I think it really is the dress rehearsal. Andy will use that term a couple of times this week. It really is. It's because they're not going to play those guys in the last preseason game. They just don't. So this will be the real tune-up for the real game.
I went back and looked to see how the starters were used in preseason game 3 last year. Do you guys remember where preseason game 3 was? Chicago, noon game in Chicago, and so Chase Daniel played for the Bears in that game with the starters, and they actually led 21-10 at halftime. The Bears starters over the Chiefs starters, and Mahomes touchdown drive, field goal drive, and then 3 straight punts. And then the defense was really kind of shaky throughout the whole first half. And I just remember leaving that game thinking, the starters played the most that they're going to play in the preseason, and this is what they showed us. And obviously Andy Reid shows nothing at all. But it's different this year with a new coordinator, new coaches, new defensive personnel. I agree with you, Vahe. I think there needs to just be a little bit more. And look, the starters played well in the 2 series against the Steelers. They didn't against the Bengals the previous week, but then they had Clark and Okafor back. And
right.
So I would like to see I want to see the performance.
Would you like to see more than 3 snaps from Tyrann Mathieu?
That's right. That's his preseason total.
It is. No, 4. 4 is the total because he played 1 week 1
and
then 3 last week before he bumped his shoulder.
That Bears game, what I remember about that was the best defensive play of the game was Orlando Scandrick totally being defensive afterwards about how scorched he was. He was
in sunglasses and a T-shirt in the locker room.
He was really kind of edgy.
I'll tell you what I remember about the game was Tano passing, sacking Chase Daniel and having have a roughing the passer.
And that was his best play all season.
And the thought that gave him a little chilling effect all season, right?
Yeah.
I mean, there's some thought of that.
I also remember that penalty infuriated Justin Houston.
Was it you or Vahe pulled me over when they were like, all right, we're going to go talk to Justin Houston, get your camera out. I said, okay. Yeah. And that was I think those were the most words and the most personality I saw to Justin Houston in a locker room.
He was always good on other people, right? On other people's problems or situations. Yeah.
And I talked to Chase Daniel after the game, and he just basically just went,
like an Eric enemy laugh.
Right. Now, it wasn't as bad as the Chris Jones. Didn't he get the roughing the passer on Brady in the AFC Championship game? The Phantom roughing the passer that kept alive the Patriots drive. But that one was pretty bad.
Or the forward progress calls from the season before. The worst ever.
Let's play the hits, guys.
Ever. I know, sorry. Yes. By bringing them up, we're purging them.
Yeah. By the way, your latest D'Anthony Thomas update, he just caught a pass with the starting offense. Just caught a pass from Patrick Mahomes. So not only did he show up, return kickoff, now he's in with the ones. Again, in the middle of practice. It's insane. It's insane. Sam, do you have anybody that this game matters for? Did I already ask you?
I'm going to echo a little bit, but I do think that there's, preseason disclaimers are relevant and should be at least referenced. But the defense, I think, can get something out of this in a way that units can't always get something out of preseason games. I do think that, look, I mean, the coaching staff is entirely new. The scheme is entirely new. A lot of the players are new, and even the ones that are holdovers that were here last year, a lot of the roster, a lot of their teammates are new to them. This is a completely new experience for everybody, and they really haven't had themselves together, And I'm not that worried about the production of whether, they can hold the 49ers or whatever, but I just think that it's good to get those reps. And because even if they're mistakes, you can learn from those mistakes. But if you're not on the field, you don't have that film to learn from. Mm-hmm. So I do think that there's value in just them being on the field.
And it's just players like Clark and Passanio and Tyrann Mathieu. You got guys, veteran guys in new positions. You got not Passanio, Honey Badger. Passanio's playing inside sometimes. Yep. The linebackers are having to relearn kind of where they're positioned and what the responsibilities are. Yep. And yes, they got 3 weeks of St. Joe to help with that, and handful of plays in 2 preseason games. I think if you're going to look for something Saturday night, it's watch the Chiefs linebackers, see how they perform, and the defense overall.
Yeah, absolutely. And now let's chat about D Ford. We're gonna end up this before we take a few questions. 5-5 will be here. He hasn't played in the preseason with the 49ers, dealing with knee tendonitis. What will his reception be at Arrowhead? Will he travel? If he does travel, we're going to replay the false start, or?
I don't know. That's complicated. I feel like he had been a little bit of a punching bag. That's too strong of a term, but he had been, kind of a guy that fans were critical of. First round pick, hadn't really performed for the first 2 years, I believe, and then had a year where he performed, then got hurt, and then the year where he, led the team in sacks, right? Not led the team. Chris Jones led the team, but had 13.
Career high.
Career high, 13 sacks. And he was a really likable, and I don't know if this is because we're in the locker room and you can talk to him a little bit. Really likable guy.
Totally.
Really likable, smart, thoughtful, all those things. But gosh, that false start. I mean, I feel like that's what people. That's just the short version of his career. Hurt, productive, false start. And I don't know that you want to put him on the video board the way that Tony Gonzalez was done when the Falcons played at Arrowhead.
What is weird also is to picture if he had stayed here. I mean, which he could have, right? How that would be playing out now. Mm-hmm. I don't know the answer to that. It's sort of complicated, as you said. But I mean, it would be a little weird for him, I think, to be a Chief still, though.
Yeah,
I've read interviews he's done as a 49er, and he's answered all the questions.
Mm-hmm.
He's apparently embraced all the interview opportunities to talk about it. Reminded by none other than Patrick Mahomes in an interview last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever we talked to him, that even after the false start, the Chiefs still went down and tied the game, sent it to overtime. The false start didn't end the game for the Chiefs.
Sure,
could have. The Patriots had kept the scoring drive alive, but the Chiefs had a miraculous drive to tie the game. And because they lost the coin flip, they lost the game.
Yeah.
And the defense was just worn out. Couldn't stop a third down on the overtime drive. So, but it is a good question about how he'll be received, because he really is the easy target for the loss of that game.
Yeah.
He just is.
This generation's Lynn Elliott.
Yes, or Bill Buckner in Boston and Dee Ford in Kansas City when it comes to just gaffes that cost you the game. And like Bill Buckner, the Red Sox had Game 7.
That's right.
Could have won the game.
It's also the same thing. After a long time in St. Louis, I always tell St. Louis fans that Cardinals were free to keep playing after Don Denkinger's call, and they did have another game.
Yeah.
I mean but it is you phrased it really well. It's the one you fixate on. It really isn't the answer.
The easy one.
It's the easy one. Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, so since we are not live right now, we can't take your questions in the comments and answer them in this format. So we do have a special guest here. Jack is a little off camera, and I'm sure he's been thinking of some questions to ask us. So what do you got, Jack? So Jack asked
is
a
thinking
great
of us.
question.
I appreciate that.
In case you couldn't hear it on our mics, he said, can we talk more about the new pass interference rule and how that will impact our deadlines? Which is a great question, because so there's at least one review of that on Saturday. There were a lot of reviews on Saturday and timeouts and things that just prolonged a game that shouldn't have been prolonged. Any thoughts on pass interference?
Well, look, we're all about us. So whatever it is that can expedite the process, we're looking for, but we'll also roll with whatever comes. Right? That's what we do.
All
we
right,
roll.
Andy Reid.
Yeah.
It doesn't help.
Time's ours.
It doesn't.
Is it though?
That's right.
We have to treat it as such.
It's going to be a pain in the butt. It just is. Because officials missed a call in the NFC Championship game, we're all going to suffer. And we saw it in the Bengals game, right? It was the end of the first half where we saw it Saturday night in Pittsburgh, where no flag, but the officials decided to check a pass interference. Took about 5 minutes. Seemed like it wasn't
5
that
minutes
long.
too long.
And then decided play stood. No flag. Come on.
Part of also, I think what Jack's thinking about really too is like the fan experience. Really, I think these games really do get sort of diluted with these things, and it breaks up the flow. And I think it does get in the way of the enjoyability of a game.
And it's just when you do that replay, if you have 7 different replay officials, 4 of them may see it, 3 of them may say no. So it's subjective on a couple different levels. It's just they got to have a better solution than this.
And they don't need to be nothing needs to be happening in the NFL or really any sporting event that makes the experience less entertaining to the fan who already has to deal with. We can talk for chapter and verse about ticket prices, lines at the concession stand and restroom, parking prices. It's really difficult for fans, I think.
And that will suck the momentum out by giving you a review for 3 to 5 minutes.
that you don't see on the big screen. You're not
Right.
seeing all the angles on the big screen. So,
And look, it is tough, right? I mean, because the integrity of the game is part of this. The reason they're doing
That's
this.
right. No, that's right.
You
They're trying to
can't
get it
have what
right.
happened last year just go on. But sometimes there's an overcompensation. The pendulum swings too far away. And
if you just
Make the officials better.
right, right.
be better.
solution is
Just be
easy.
better.
Yeah,
right?
just
That's
be
also a solution.
Throw the flag.
I
You just thrown the flag.
I
we
do
could
think
have
there's a
avoided
difference.
a lot of heartache.
I do think there's a difference
true.
between like things that are just black and white. Like, did the ball cross the plane? Did he step out of bounds?
Yeah.
I think like that for review makes some sense to me. But this is just, again, you got 7. It may be 4-3. It may be 5-2, and it's a roll of the dice on which replay official you get.
Jack, what else you got? That's a good question. So, Jack's question, Colin Saunders hasn't done much of anything. At what point do we get concerned that he's going to be like Passanio as an early draft pick who can't seem to get on the field?
Well, like Passanio, he didn't come from an SEC or an ACC school. He came from, Western Illinois, and Passanio, of course, from Villanova, where he didn't see week in, week out the type of athlete that players who come from Power 5 schools see. And I just think there's just going to have to be a little more patience with him than with with ACC guys, SEC guys, that level, Big 12. And we're seeing that. He was running with the third team. He didn't get in the game until the second half I think this is right, until second half on Saturday. So he's he's down on the depth chart.
But they accounted for that they understood there's a little, not project's too strong a word, but they understood that this was not an instant.
Right. He wasn't coming in to start.
Yeah, I mean.
Not as a position where they've got depth. They've got other guys that can play. I'm not concerned. I don't think I would use that. There's a lot to like athletically about him.
Yeah, have you seen the backflips?
Quick feed, and he's just got some agility that you don't usually see in guys that size. And I do think that jump is a big ask. We over and over and over again. I know it's a completely different deal, but Eric Fisher's jump from Central Michigan to the NFL. That's a thing that we all talked about. That was the MAC. The MAC is a much better competition than Western Illinois. So it makes sense to me that it's going to take a little bit. But gosh, if you see some of the highlights and some of the things he can do with his feet and his hands, and there's a chance he's going to be a really, really good player.
All right, let's go one more question. You got anything? Oh, yeah. We can talk about Brendan Daly, the new defensive line coach, brought in from New England. And he has been, just full of fire. Every time we've seen him, I've done radio a couple times, which at St. Joe, the radio tent is right next to where they do the defensive line drills. I think, Sam, you've been down there too. He is loud. He is in guys' faces. He takes off his ball cap and he flips it around and he gets in the drills. What kind of an impact have we seen so far on what this guy can do?
Well, once you've taken that ball cap and flipped it around,
that's business.
Serious
Say
stuff.
no more. Do no more. Just that.
I'm encouraged by what the potential of this defensive line. Keep in mind, they led the NFL in sacks last year, so they were pretty good there in that regard. But stopping the run, not so much. I think the 4-3 fits the Chiefs personnel better than the 3-4 did.
I agree.
And I don't think you can go wrong bringing a Patriots assistant coach in to be an assistant coach on a team. It just opens, I think, just a different approach. Mm-hmm. And we have seen, except for the first drive against the Bengals again, that was first game with the first time in action with the defense and the new personnel, but it was better against Pittsburgh. And I suspect it'll be even a little bit better against San Francisco, not as good a team as the Steelers. So encouraging. I like what they've, we've talked about Okafor and Clark, and Agbah's part of that rotation too. Chris Jones in the middle, Xavier Williams, Derek Nottie. I just think there's some talent there and stuff that Daly can work with. That, again, defense work in progress. I think it's going to be bad early. By midseason, I think they'll be where they think it should be.
Anybody else any other thoughts? All right, cool. Well, on that note, we're going to wrap up here. We'll be back post-game from Arrowhead, and we will take questions there. We will break down what happened in the third preseason game. Hopefully we see more than 3 snaps from Tyrann Mathieu or 2 series from Patrick Mahomes. and hopefully we'll be more coherent than we were in Pittsburgh. So until then, I'm Brooke Pryor. That's Blair Kerkhoff, Vahe Gregorian, Sam Mellinger. We'll see you guys later.